Very good evening. I'm Lisa Broom with the CBC Evening News. In our top story tonight, the Minister of Labour says she's expecting a proposal from management of the Barbados Water Authority very soon, although it may come up short on the $33 million owed to workers. She spoke to media at Parliament less than an hour before General Secretary of the Barbados Workers Union met with unionized members at Solidarity House to discuss their next step. Denise Blackman was there.
A full house at the Barbados Workers Union headquarters indicated support for the BWA workers.
The BW family is bigger than the Barbados Water Authority. And reminders of this are now necessary.
General Secretary Tony Moore told those present Barbadian workers have been oppressed for too long, and she's encouraging them to stand up against what she calls reckless employers. She again told media they are still waiting to hear from the BWA how and when outstanding increments, owed over a decade now, will be paid. She says previous proposals which offered just 2% and 4% of the amount were unacceptable.
Instead of, on average, $1,100 per month, you should settle for $45 per month. Well, y'all would tell me.
She says BWA has had more than enough time to come forward with a better proposal. Meanwhile, Minister of Labour Dr. Barbados explains formulating such a proposal isn't as easy as many may think.
It is very complex. I cannot explain it to you here now. I myself am delving into the numerous documents that have been provided to me on the matter.
And she admits the $33 million is just too big a bucket for government to fill.
What they bring will not be anywhere near $33 million because we are all aware, and I think the minister has said, that the Water Authority right now could not afford to pay $33 million. So you would have to negotiate how much, over what period, and so on.
The General Secretary does say the union is willing to negotiate.
The Barbados Workers Union signaled from the onset of our discussions that it recognized that we would have to make concessions.
Dr. Barbados says the minister responsible for water, Dr. David Eswick, has promised additional resources to help BWA prepare the stalled proposal.
The management needs some assistance in getting this proposal ready. That became very clear because as they stand right now, they are having a lot of difficulty.
But after meeting with both sides yesterday separately, the minister says she understands both the anxiety and the frustration. She expects a proposal over the coming days.
What would happen if that proposal is not received? What would the ministry be doing?
I don't even want to contemplate that. And I would venture to say that no, we're not even contemplating that.
Meanwhile, the BWA workers will be going into day 7 of their strike tomorrow. Denise Blackman, CBC News.
Barbados is launching a trade mission to Cuba to see what opportunities there are for local manufacturers. And Industry Minister Donville Innes is confident several Barbadian products are ready for the Cuban market. He spoke about plans during a tour of the Good Time Snacks manufacturing plant in Grisette, St. Michael. He says this move was in the works even before the U.S. considered lifting its trade embargo with Havana.
There are several companies that are looking now to go into the Cuban market in a big way, and I must thank the Barbados Investment and Development Corporation for spearheading the initiative and going into the Cuban market, getting some research done and helping to take some of our manufacturers there. I must also thank our Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the staff in Havana for working so closely and diligently with us over here. I expect in a few weeks' time to lead a delegation of manufacturers and potential exporters to the Cuban market, and where we expect that we'll be able to sign off on some deals over there.
It also appears Good Time Snacks has already positioned itself for export into non-English speaking markets. Their packages are labeled in English, Spanish and French, and the company already exports to Grenada, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines and Antigua. Chief Operating Officer Andrew Noel says Good Times is still looking to expand, create more jobs and boost exports, which now accounts for 60% of its production.
We're looking to obviously get a little bit more out of it so we can improve facilities and upgrade so we can do more exports and bring in obviously more foreign exchange for Barbados and employ more Barbadians.
What is the fear? That's Government Senator Verla de Pisa's response to criticism against moves to introduce fingerprinting at Barbados's ports of entry. She supports the move, saying countries such as Belgium are at this time working to safeguard their borders.
Trinidad, our neighbor, has issues with nationals joining international organizations for the purpose of terrorism. And Barbados would be blind and willfully ignorant if it did not take steps to safeguard our borders. I understand that is the purpose of opposition, to oppose. But to oppose for opposing's sake does no good to our country.
Barbados is continuing to experience major growth in cruise tourism, and more is predicted now the island has struck a big deal with an international cruise line. Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of Tourism, Senator Irene Sandiford Garner, made the disclosure during debate on the estimates.
We sat with the principals of Carnival, this was at Sea Trade as well, and agreed to an arrangement where over the next 3 years, Carnival will be sending 1.5 million passengers to Barbados. Carnival Cruise Lines. Now that is not an easy feat. It is not an easy feat. And again, I give kudos to the Minister and Team Barbados for their tenacity in ensuring that when the turnaround came, Barbados tourism would be ready.
Barbados must not give up on sugarcane production. In fact, Senator John Watson wants the country to move towards expanding the industry. He made the suggestion during his contribution to the debate.
I want to see all the fields in Barbados out of sugar, back into sugar. You only have to, if we gave away our sugar and created molasses and sold the rum, I have a feeling that we may pay for the sugar. I don't have the figures, I never worked it out, but I have a feeling that molasses, both in terms of making rum and in selling otherwise, can support the sugar industry.
A St. Thomas man is a patient at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital after an explosion at his home last night. According to police, 54-year-old Daniel Jackson, who lives at 40 Acres, was taken to hospital by private vehicle with serious burns to his legs, hands and part of his face after the incident. This was around 9:50. Fire officials say they received a call about the incident and responded with 1 tender and 3 officers. When they got there, they didn't see any fire, but windows in the kitchen were shattered. Coming up after the break, young Barbadians given an opportunity to make their mark on the global stage. Stay with us.
Say hello to Shanta. Shanta is an entertainer, but she also loves to be entertained, which is why she has Flow TV brought to her through Flow's 100% fiber to the home network. It's great for busy Shanta because she can control the time she watches her favorite shows, play back from the start in case she missed it, or even record with cloud video recording. And with her Flow services bundle, enjoys much more for much less. Visit any Flow retail outlet, call 1-800-804-2994 or visit discoverflow.co to find out more. One-of-a-kind connection. This is how we flow.
Win more with Mega Lucky Sevens, the new instant scratch game with 15 chances. Get your Mega Lucky Sevens ticket from lottery agents island-wide.
Did you know that baby's tummy is as small as his little foot? But he needs 5 times more nutrition than you. Nestum provides vitamins, minerals, and probiotics that he needs in the right size portion for his little tummy. And he loves it. Nestum infant cereals, big nutrition for small tummies. Nestle. Good food, good life.
Distributed by Massey Distribution.
Fruta, taste the real Fruta. Enjoy the real Fruta. Refreshing juice of every day. Whoa, Fruta.
Plant trees and look after our country, look after our gullies, and treasure what we have. Think of trees, and think of trees every morning when you wake up. And think of fruit trees and what you can eat from those fruit trees, and how much less we'd have to import if some of them bear something to eat.
Trees are the silent sentinels. Sunday at 7:30 p.m. Repeated on Saturday at 6 p.m. Trees are the silent sentinels.
An international skills competition may just be the tool to catapult Barbadian youth onto the global market. The Technical and Vocational Education and Training Council, the organizing body for the World Skills Competition, says as it approaches its third year, it will capitalize on opportunities. Executive Director of the TVET Council, Henderson Eastman, launched the competition, which judges the technical and vocational skills of representatives under 22 years old at a local, regional, and then international level. He says Barbados must be strategic if it wants to gain visibility on the world stage, and says the Council will encourage more institutions to train at world skills standards. He also says the Council wants to increase the number of Barbadian competitors and the areas in which they compete.
Expanding the number of skill areas in which Barbados competes to include areas such as graphic design technology, web design, car painting, restaurant service, and health and social care. Such an expansion would help to increase the demand for participation by the current competing training institutions and other institutions such as the University of the West Indies, the Barbados Community College, and other private training institutions.
Minister of Labour, Senator Dr. Esther Bayer-Suku, says this vocational development complements the island's human resource development strategy and strengthens the workforce. She says the competition helps to improve industry standards, spur innovative ideas, inspire other young people, and showcase young talent. The Samuel Jackman Prescott Polytechnic is playing its part as efforts continue to get more young people involved in agriculture. The latest initiative by the Agriculture Division of the SJPP was an open day. It allowed secondary school students to not only browse the garden and tour exhibits, but also interact with current and former students. Head of that division, Alicia Clark, says there's a lot to offer in the area of agriculture.
We are focusing on them because this is the time to enter the Polytechnic, and we have found that a lot of people are not aware of what happens at the Polytechnic. A lot of people always say, oh, I didn't know that the Polytechnic did this. If I had known, I would have applied. If I had known, so that people are always saying that. So what we're trying to do is to promote the different programs that the Polytechnic has. We've invited a number of schools, and we've actually gotten a very good response.
Well, students in the agriculture program say they love it and they're already planning their future.
This is very interesting. I would encourage people to get into it. There are a lot of nice, fun things you can do, like to see plants grow and that sort of thing. As far as agriculture, to become a plant pathologist.
I do landscaping and horticulture, and I love the program. When I first came here, I could not tell you the name of 2 plants. Now I can tell you the name of over 100 plants. I love dealing with the plants. I love flower arrangement. So when I leave here, I like to open my own nursery and then further it to a flower shop.
The Barbados Entrepreneurship Foundation is pushing young people to look at viable careers in the agricultural sector. The foundation launched its Agriculture Entrepreneurship Program at the City of Bridgetown Cooperative Credit Union Limited. Several secondary schools are involved in the initiative, and each school will create a business around an existing project in their agriculture science program. At the end of the program, students will have the basic tools to start their own business, focusing on innovation, profitability, creating work and wealth. CEO of the foundation, Celeste Foster, says the project will take a multidisciplinary approach.
So students are going to be drawn from the agri-science, food and nutrition, business, visual arts, and IT. And then school teams, you hear me talking about school teams will work together to create business cooperatives that model modern agricultural enterprises. Remember Steve talked about being an accountant in the agricultural sector? So what we're saying is, you are a business student, you're doing principles of business, you're doing accounts. You should be the person, so you have your business model, and you have your management team, and then you have your operations department, your marketing department. You see where we're coming from? And you're all working together. The reason we're doing it is because we believe that this holistic intervention will not only promote teamwork, but it will allow students to recognize and value the wide array of skills that lead to successful business outcomes.
Still to come, a look at some of the stories making headlines across the region. But now for our core-really tip.
Heart disease can